A lot of people have jumped on our bandwagon of madmen and nutsmen, and that's intelligent because it is an art and a science. What we do is an art and a science. It's a craft and a business. And it's always been difficult to marry the two, but 75% of what we do is now stuff that Don Draper wouldn't recognize. Maybe Matthew Weiner will recognize it tomorrow at Stream, but it's in media, which is about 5 billion out of the 20. It's in data, which is about another 5, and digital, which is another 6. So it's about 16 out of the 20 that are in those 3 areas, and that's the way to differentiate.
In terms of the roadmap for you, the involvement with AppNexus and the growth of Xaxis, how do you see the evolution of WPP as a tech stack? I don't know if you use that term.
Well, I mean, I think we apply the technology. I think it would be foolhardy to believe that we at $31 billion of market cap can behave like Google at 360. And I read a circular yesterday which suggested the new CFO could drive it to 600 million of market cap by doing what seemed to me to be a few simple things. So I think what we have to do is to apply the technology that we see smartly. Brian and others and David get upset with me because they say we do create technology and we don't just apply it, but I think application is terribly important. So we do that with AppNexus and with Xaxis, as you pointed out. In the data area, we do that with Comscore and Rentrack, and we do it with Kantar. And in the content area, we do it with Harvey Weinstein, with the Vice, with the Media Rights Capital, with all these companies, with a Refinery 29, with an Indigenous Media, with the Avnet Brothers, and you'll see the 2 other things that we're doing here in the content area, one in the music area and one in the social media area, where we're being very aggressive in bringing content into our operation, and been very successful in doing it so far. Vice has been an outstanding success, not driven particularly by us, of course, but driven by Shane and Eddie and their colleagues, but very successful. And we've seen that with Fullscreen, with Peter Chernin as well, and now with AT&T, and Media Rights Capital with House of Cards. And so some really interesting things that we're doing, and we'll continue to do it. But we're placing our bets. I think it was Reid Hoffman at a Founders Forum session last week, compared it to lottery tickets, but there's a 3-part strategy: getting our traditional businesses, legacy businesses, to move faster in digital, getting our digital businesses to penetrate even more, and last but not least, experimenting, making those investments in interesting new areas that people understand they're important but haven't really figured out yet how to monetize them.
And so, Martin, the last question, there's sort of a conversation going on here. We speak to people about the historic number of media agency clients that are up for review. What's going on here?
Well, it's very difficult to figure that out. The rebate issue, which some people like Brian Weiser point to, doesn't exist in the US. And we've had this sort of strange Havas contract that sort of surfaced in the pages of Ad Age with imprecise language, was it? They said it was imprecise. It looked like imprecise language. I think it's very difficult for Havas because you have Dominic Delport, who is on the board, I think, of Vivendi, if I remember rightly, or Canal Plus. So he's sitting on a media company and sitting with a media agency. So it's a little bit difficult. I think you're putting yourself in quite a difficult position when you're advising clients on media planning and buying, and you're sitting in a media company. So that, I think maintaining that separation is sort of important. I think it's not so much about the rebate issue, or indeed that issue. It's about clients worrying about whether the measurement systems are correct. We know that in traditional media, we know that C+3, which 3 days after airing is not sufficient. Group M have been pushing for C+7. So the Nielsen data is not a surprise. They should be showing what they're showing, because if people are not using one screen or the second and third screen, and they air after the air date, or they watch after the air date, it's not surprising that you're going to end up with figures that are not quite what they should be. That's on the offline side. On the online side, we know that viewability standards are not as strong as they should be. Standards at Group M, again, are higher than the IAB standards, but we're not going to get strict standards or strict enough standards on online as we should do, as we do get on offline. So you've got this sort of, there's no doubt that offline is not as good as it should be because it's not tracking out-of-home audiences, and it's not a surprise that online looks better than it is because the viewability standards are just too low. So you have to raise the viewability standards and you have to improve the standards of offline measurement as well. So it's a bit about that. At the heart of it, what does it all add up to? It's clients concerned about whether they're spending the right amount, whether it should be more, less, or the same, and where they should spend it. And obviously the whole debate about traditional versus digital is at the heart of it. But all those other things that people refer to, whether it's media ownership or whether it's rebates or whatever, are just part of, I think, the whole. The key issue is the holy grail. How much should I spend and where should I spend it?